Ladies, gentlemen and drummers of all ages, please put your hands together for the host of the Mike Dolbear Drum Show, Mr. Mike Dolbear.
Hi, and welcome to the Mike Dolbear Web Show 4 with myself and Jill Bennett and our wonderful guests, Carlos Hercules and Emily Dolan Davis. How are you guys today?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, doing really well, thanks.
Are you nervous?
Nah.
You sure?
We do this for a living.
What? Do we talk for a living? I sit behind a wall. I protect myself from situations like this.
Carlos.
Yes.
Okay, unfortunately you've been around on the scene for a long
Quite
time
a long
now.
time, yeah.
20 years.
Yeah. I should have found a job by now, shouldn't I?
Proper job.
Yeah.
Don't go and do that now.
Yeah, never going to happen.
How have you found the business has changed over the last 20 years?
When I first got into the industry, there was loads of gigs happening, loads of bands. I think the biggest change is that they've stripped the fat so much, the industry. There's hardly any, like a friend of mine went to see a JLS gig and there's no live band on the JLS gig. It's like,
what's that about?
That was hardly ever heard of back in the days. You had a live band, so there was loads of good gigs to get. I can remember one time in my career I had 3 gigs in a week where I had to fly to different cities with 3 different artists, and it's like that seldom happens now, but I'm still enjoying the playing and the experiences are great and they've changed a lot in that sense, but you know, as you go through your career, I've probably had bigger and better experiences, whereas in the early days there were smaller things, but there was just loads of them.
But do you find that with the kind of artists that you work with, like George Michael, that level of artist, do they still keep that integrity and or do they even cut back, management make them cut back?
I think what happens is with those artists, I'm not sure if it's the artist that sells that are cutting back or the powers that be, like the people that are running their camps are going, we can offer you a tour for X amount of money, and he goes, yes. They go, yes, sure. And then the guys trim the fat to make that happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the artist probably is completely unaware of what's going on behind the scenes to make the numbers match up. So the artists are probably completely unaware of what's going on. So there are cuts happening on every level, but the artists will probably be unaware of those cuts the bigger the gigs go on. When you're on a small gig, they probably know because they've probably had to agree to the ins and outs of it, the size of the tour bus, that kind of thing. But on George, there was like 25 trucks and 250 people. It's like...
You're so used to get lost.
Yeah. I remember I was in a sauna with this in Berkhamsted.
Are you allowed to tell this story before we go any further?
Please. Family show, of course. But I'm sitting in this sauna and this guy looks at me and I look at him and I think, I know you. But it's just one of those, you think you see so many faces. And he goes, are you a drummer? And I said, how bizarre that you should say that to me in the middle of a sauna in Berkhamsted. I said, yes, I am. And he said, who do you play for and stuff? And I said, recently I just got off the George tour. And he said, I was one of the Lampies.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
250 guys, and you go, I knew I recognised you, but you just can't get to know everybody on that
on that scale.
Size of tour. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I know also that you're working with an Italian artist.
That's right,
at the moment. I mean, who's the Italian artist?
I shall pronounce it properly, not the English version. I should say Laura Pausini.
That's why I got you to say it and not me.
Right, because I've been told off about that because, you know, it's Laura Pausini in English, but it's not quite the same in Italian. But she is the only female Grammy winner in Italy. Okay. Wow. So she's a massive act, and I've been touring with her now for close to 2 years, and just amazed because I, if I'm honest, never heard of her before I got the gig, and I got the gig and I realised the scale she was on and went, oh my God, how did I not know about this girl? Apart from anything else, she's a fantastic singer and the band is outrageously good and the production and the team behind them are just on any level that I've worked on before. It was just great. So I think
also a lot of the, certainly in the UK, we get a little bit blindsided, although the UK is a very important music scene.
Of course, yeah.
It's also a very small country.
Yeah.
So you may be big in England, but actually you haven't got many cities to go to. Where
that's right.
As soon as you go across...
Yeah, we just got back from Australia in February. Who would think that there's an Italian market in Australia? But she's done South, because she speaks Portuguese and Spanish and all that. She's, you know, multilingual, and that helps because of her market. She does some songs in Spanish and stuff like that. So we've been everywhere. Did South America, and it's like, who knew that this girl was out there killing these territories? And I mean, huge audiences. in big arenas and stuff like that. I was like, wow. Thought I was just come out here to do a European act, you know.
And I guess catering's good as well.
Oh, yeah.
Forget it.
You want good catering.
Forget it. It's just the food is fantastic. And being with an Italian band, when we were doing some of the Italian shows, they would say, "Come, Carlos, I'm going to take you to a local place where this is off the beaten track, and you find some, like it's like a dungeon, and this woman's doing truffles and stuff." I'm like, wow. I've got a problem with food as it is. Don't do that to me. You know what I mean? Great wine, great food. It's been just a joy to work for her. Really good. Yeah.
Emily Dolan Davis.
Yes, Michael Dolbear.
Michael, wow.
I don't know your middle name, otherwise I would have
That's
said
it. Cool is my middle name. Mike Cool Dolbear.
I love it.
Anyway,
All right.
so let's talk about the darkness.
Yeah.
So just under a year ago?
Yeah, just under a year ago.
You did the album?
Yeah, well, I got a phone call from, I got an email actually from a guy called Dan Hawkins, sort of saying, "Oh, hi, I've seen a video of yours on the internet. I've got a project that you might be interested in." And I thought, okay, Dan Hawkins, I'm sure that's someone to do with the darkness. And so I did a little Google, and there was him, then there was some random bass player in Surbiton. I thought, oh, it's obviously this random bass player, whatever. And he said, "Can I call you?" I said, "That's fine." So he gave me a call, and I sort of answered, and he said, "Oh, hi, so this is Dan Hawkins from the darkness." And I was like, "Oh, it is you? Okay, yeah, cool. How you doing?" And basically he'd explained that they'd parted ways with their drummer. They'd found a video that I'd done on the internet a couple of years beforehand of me wrapped in fairy lights, and they really liked it and said, "Do you want to come down and have a jam and see how we get on," sort of thing. So I went down there, did jam through the new album, which was at a demo stage at the time, and a few of the older tracks as well. Hung around for the whole day, which is great because I'm terrible in like audition situations where it's like 20 minutes and I just get a bit freaked out and I act a bit weird, or I don't really know what happens. It kind of becomes a bit of a blur and a blank. But we really got on, and the next day they called me and said, "Do you want to join the band," sort of thing. "Do you want to come record the album and be part of the band?" So I was like, as a session musician, obviously you don't really get that opportunity. You're usually just a hired gun. I thought, you know what, I've got to take this opportunity, you know what I mean, and see how it goes. So we recorded the album in September. It took about a month. We were doing pre-production and recording it at the guitarist's studio. Got it mixed and mastered. It was done by the end of last year. Something I'm really proud of, which is really great. And then we started touring it in March, February March sort of time, and started doing that. And then as it sort of went on, it's a funny thing because obviously I've never been part of a band where you're in one thing all the time. And I thought, this is going to be great. This is going to be really nice, just concentrating on one thing.
And I guess being part of the band meant you were committed.
Well, this is it. Yeah, you were committed, and it's just like, right, this is it. But as it sort of went on, it was like, actually, I sort of realised that the reason that I love playing so much and doing what I do, especially being a session musician, is playing with lots of different people and really stretching myself in different directions. And it sort of became a bit of a thing where all the other stuff that surrounds being a part of being a band member, the music side of it sort of falled a bit at the wayside. In terms of stretching, obviously they're great musicians and they're amazing at what they do. So it all sort of, it came to the end of that tour, and it was a great fun tour, like really sort of rocking out, great crowds, amazing fans that they have. And I sort of decided that maybe it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue much further because, you know, along with a few other things, it just seemed like I need to be working with different people and just stretching and just be free to be able to do that, because they were asking for full commitment, rightfully so, because it's a 24-hour-a-day job, 7 days a week. You know, you're constantly dealing with emails and like interviews and all sorts of stuff, which is amazing, but it's funny how you realise why you do what you do, you know what I mean, and what's important. And for me, what's important is just growing and learning and meeting new people and playing with lots of different people and all that sort of stuff.
So the darkness, your involvement with the darkness now is finished?
That's disbanded,
Carlos, there's a gig available.
Yeah, Carlos, if you fancy it.
Thank you.
Quick, get in there. You look similar as well, you might get away with
Maybe I
that.
can do it for a year or so.
Yeah,
before I get found out. You know.
When's the album out though?
The album's out on June the 1st, which I'm so excited for it to come out, because it's something that is probably, it's one of the proudest things I've done, doing that album, like, and just coming in and doing it, because of course it's a bit of an odd situation because they had a crossover with their old drummer. I sort of had to come in and bear in mind their old drummer, the parts that he had played on the demos, making them my own but being respectful to what they'd already done, as well as, I mean, he was a founding member, so sort of respecting the music all the way back for the last 13 years. along with what the fans are used to hearing, what the band are used to hearing in playing. I mean, it was a real sort of like trying to just work it so that I was happy, they were happy, and there was a balance struck, you know. And it's a difficult thing to come in after them being used to someone, just this one player, for all that time.
So because you've worked with obviously Brian Ferry and Cher Lloyd, Thompson Twins, or Tom Bailey. So you're prepared to go back, pick that up, and go back to being the person they're going to tell you what to play. And,
absolutely.
And no emails about what clothing to wear tonight.
Exactly, this is the thing. It's things that I am a drummer, I'm a musician. I don't care about things like clothes and stuff. It's nice. It's a lovely thing.
Tell.
Occasion. Thanks. Yeah, you can tell, right? So, I love coming into a situation and being challenged. And to me, being asked to be as part of a band, massive challenge. I thought, I've got to do this. It's the same as when I got called to do Tricky. I knew, you know, there's a lot of people had done that gig, and the way that I knew the way he ran his gigs, and like a live DJ almost, so you never knew what was going to happen, and I was like, that's an amazing challenge. And it's something that I ended up actually putting the whole show together and MDing by the end of it, and that was I've never been so stressed in all my life, but it's something I'm so glad that I did. The Cher Lloyd show was running the show as well, running HD and all that sort of, all the hard discs. That was really good. Thompson Twins, fully electronic, so fully having to program all that up. So I try and go to every gig that challenges a part of me and what I do. And it's just what I thrive on. It really is. That's why I do what I do. And
cool.
Yeah, I like to.
Well, I've got to go over and see Aaron.
Oh, Aaron
Spears is sitting over there, so I'll see. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go and look up to him.
I'm going to ask Carl's question, because obviously we had Lee Mullen on the last show, and he was also in the closing ceremony, as were you.
That's
and
right.
as I've said to a lot of people with Mike, he wasn't invited to the closing. I don't think they wanted him, but obviously I was a part of it. So I wanted to know what your weirdest experience was, or anything you loved about the show.
The closing ceremony was absolutely got to be one of my highlights of my career. It's just the most surreal thing ever. I mean, if you imagine the Olympics taking place in your backyard, which is kind of never going to happen again in my lifetime, I don't think. So it was great, and to do it for George Michael, another great first for me. So, and just being backstage at that, such an occasion. We've done such a great job through the Olympics as well. The
Everything had happened really well.
Yeah.
So taken care of. We really did do ourselves proud. So to be at the end of that was great. And then seeing all the faces backstage, people that you grew up going, oh my God, that's an icon, and you're now rubbing shoulders with them. Everybody, from models to the greatest musicians, you were like, pinch me, please pinch me. I'm a little boy from little old Luton Town. I don't belong here. It was just incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So Mike, are you ready now?
Thank you, Gillian. So Aaron.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this whole gospel drumming that everybody seems to have got hooked onto. There's no difference between gospel and any other form of drumming, is there?
Yeah, well, in my mind, man, this is just how I think of it. I feel like gospel drumming is like the same as jazz drumming or rock drumming or country drumming. You don't put the labels on those things. It's just drumming. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of what everyone is going so crazy about now is because I feel like the light has kind of been shed on certain musicians or certain players, and they attached the label of gospel drumming to the way that these guys play. Like Gospel Chops, there was a website that highlighted, I think their first big project was like Eric Moore, Tony Royster, Thomas Pridgeon, some other cats, Joey Oscar, but it's the way that they played, the way that they shared it together. People immediately were like, "Oh, Gospel Chops! This is Gospel Chops." So now, if you hear someone play, certain figures or certain patterns or certain licks, then immediately, they're labeled as, "Oh, those are Gospel Chops." But if it's a player like, let's say, like Vinnie Colaiuta, and he plays, let's say a 6-stroke roll between his ride and his snare, if he's not labeled as a gospel, that's not a gospel chop. That's just Vinny. That's just jazz drumming at its finest, or that's fusion drumming, or whatever. but it's not labeled that. But if, the same thing is played by, let's say, Chris Coleman, then immediately it's like, oh, gospel drumming, but it's not that. It's just drumming. It's just chops. It's just licks. It's just...
Has gospel music changed?
Man, it's changed drastically from when I was a kid. Like, the music that I listened to as a kid was so heavy, based in like kind of like just grooves and funk and just kind of like feel, and the focus was so much more on the message and the words and what the writer of the song was trying to convey, and it was about the love that they have for for Christ and for mankind, or their fellow brother or sister. Now the message is there, but it seems like it's not as prominent. It's kind of like decreased somewhat because the musicality has advanced to such another level. It's like a lot of the records now, the music almost sounds like Brecker Brothers, or like it's a lot, man. It's the Electric Band all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like it's fusion heavy. It's Weather Report-ish. You know what I mean? It's the chords and the vibes and the time signatures and stuff it's so different. The notes that they're playing. The amount of notes. Going into a song is so much different from the simplicity of the music from back in the day, which is cool because you get a chance to see the expression of so many amazing players, which is great. But it's like, for me, if it's gospel music that I want to listen to, I'm going back to the old stuff, the stuff that I listened to when I was a kid, just because I feel like it has more vibe, it has more feeling. It's not so much about, necessarily musicianship. It's more about the message, and I think that's what can get lost in these figures and these time signatures and these notes and these progressions. Sometimes the message is lost.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So thank you, Mike and Aaron. Now we're going to go to our popular feature, which is with Yard. Over to Yard. What do you have for us today?
Hi, Mike and Jill. Today we are back in Yard for a demonstration on replacing snare wires on a snare drum. Firstly, we have got this Steve Gadd model steel drum made by Yamaha, and the beauty of these is the hoops have got a cutout for the wires, as you can see there. Firstly, we've got the butt plate this end, and on this end we have the strainer where all the adjustment is done. So, first thing we'll do, the crucial part is making sure that the wires sit equally in between the shell, so you don't have too much one end and nothing the other. So that's going to be central, and then on here, on the butt plate we start. There's two pieces of butt which fit round there. Just replacing the butt bolt. Right, let's get them roughly there. Finger tight to start with, and the same on this end. You bring the string down, push the first part of the butt on there, bring that one through, and that one over the top, which is where you get all your strength from. Replace the bolt, same again, just finger tight. You can still adjust if need be. And the rest is just a little bit of pulling around, try and get it all central. I like to take the string to one side so I know it's going to sit equally. And it's the bit where we mess around a little bit until we get what we like. Okay, so that's sitting equally either side. Alright, that's not too bad. And then you just adjust the tension to whatever you like. Don't do them too tight or you lose the snares altogether. And that is that really. Thank you. Another day at Yard's Yard.
Great, thank you, Yard.
Right, you ready?
Yep.
So we're going to head over to the stick now. He has two things he's going to play for you, and afterwards you've had a bit of a listen. Let me know what you think from what you've heard, and then we will reveal all. So the first kit, Kit A, is the top of the range electronic kit, and Kit B is a new kind of electronic kit that is pretty different, and believe me, it's pretty different. So I'll ask the stick to play Kit A, please.
Okay.
While he moves to Kit B, I'm very interested to see how Kit B goes. When you're ready, stick. Right, before we remove the banners, which one did you like the sound of best, or what did you think?
I know why I play acoustic drums.
Yeah.
That side. What kind of price range are these things in? Can you say or not?
I can tell you.
Mid-range?
No, I think you've got both.
I feel like
Okay.
like Kit B, he wasn't sitting down. It wasn't a drummer in control of drums. There was some other element going on. Because it didn't.
That's it. We will take note of that.
Okay.
But sonically, I quite like the sound of
I
Kit
like
B.
the actual sound of Kit B. It was really nice.
Oh, that's interesting.
I like the sound.
Obviously, with these kits as well, that they obviously can make so many different sounds.
Well,
Different sounds. So it
And
might
obviously,
just
in
be a
this
program
situation,
setting.
we're just
Might
using
just be
a
a
basic
program
program
setting,
setting. Sounds like the stick's doing a little dance.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. It gets
You're right
excited.
over there.
Well, maybe we should reveal the drums.
So we'll reveal them now, and I'm guarantee you Kit B will make so much more sense. Okay, you ready?
All right.
Okay, you can have a look at both
Great.
kits.
Okay, so
So
one
as you can see,
wasn't
one is not
rolling.
actually a kit.
What?
So
The other one is a computer.
So Kit A is a Roland V Drums TD30 kit.
Yep.
It consists of 6 pads, 1 snare, 4 toms and a kick, 2 crash cymbals, a ride and a set of hi-hats. The
Great.
pads feature real drum shells and mesh heads which allow for a more natural feeling playing experience. Kit B is from Aerodrums. The setup fits in a backpack but is intended to feel and sound as good as a real drum kit and can be silent to others around the player. The kit is also very affordable and the kit is possibly the ultimate in portability and flexibility.
I don't understand. Can you show us stick, please? Because all I'm seeing is a stool and something.
So those two things that he's holding, you put on your feet and it reads your feet.
Oh my god.
And then the stick.
That's mental.
I have tried this and it does feel a bit weird.
Can you give us a roll, Stick, please?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, I am impressed. I have to say.
And I
I
think
don't think it's quite
And the
there,
fact that
but
you both
the
thought that
idea
one
of it-
sounded a lot better than the first kit says a lot.
The sounds
As we
are
said,
nicer,
the sounds were good, but I mean, as a concept, that's fantastic.
That's unbelievable.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, that really is. Well
Okay.
done, Stick. I know that
So
was
now
probably
you know,
really
like when
weird.
you know, like the mobile phone first came in with headsets, and people walking around looking like they had
Yeah.
schizophrenia. That's going to be now drums.
That's what
having
it
an
is,
excuse
yeah,
to be
just
sitting
like-
there, just
do you
playing
think,
the air going.
George and Michael will go for that on the next tour?
He might well, you know.
Okay, Brent. Let's see what you've got after your excellent video last show. So over to you, Brent.
Hey, Mike and Jill, thanks again for having me on the show. It's great to see you guys as always. Today we're talking with Antoine Fafard, who's a Paris-based studio and live drummer who's only 16 years old. We're talking about electronic drums and how they work with the new electronic Gibraltar drum rack. So Antoine, dude, I've seen a lot of your videos and it's so exciting to be able to have you on the show. So how long have you been playing drums for?
Well, I've been playing around 4 years now. I started because I went into a music store with my dad, and I just saw an electronic drum kit, and I just wanted to play it. And then I got into the whole, oh, what are drums? How can I get more drums and all that? So.
Do you prefer playing acoustic drums or electronic drums, or does it really matter?
Well, I think they're both different instruments in the fact that electronic drums you can record so easily, and it doesn't make as much noise. It's really a house kit or a studio kit, but acoustic drums are much better for live, I feel like, and they really have that feel that is a little harder to get on electronic drums. So they both have their best use, and I use them for what I feel is good for each.
So how was it moving over and playing on an acoustic kit for the first time after you've been playing on an electronic kit for a couple years?
Well, it felt really natural because nowadays just kids and a lot of people start by playing electronic drums because it doesn't make as much noise and it's easier to record and you have so many sounds. It's very practical. So for me, it was a very natural change because when you hit an electronic drum kit, you don't have that fear as such as an acoustic kit because it makes so much noise. So when you go to an acoustic kit, you don't have a fear of the drum set. You're willing to really have a lot of power into the drum set, and it just felt very natural. You know,
the Gibraltar E-Rack really solves like 3 major problems that drummers are confronted with on a daily basis. It solves the stability issues that a lot of drummers encounter when they have their electronic drums on their own rack. It solves the space issue, which is really big. Also a transportation issue, being able to set up a rack very easily and very quickly and tear it down.
Yeah, true.
Wow, my voice just cracked. So how would you see this rack benefiting other drummers like yourself?
Well, I find it great because it's so sturdy and it's just perfect if you want to mount a computer on there or just move your drum set around without it flopping around. It's great, and it's not tiny, but it saves a lot of space, definitely, on the corners, so I could see myself using that, yeah.
The cool thing about it is that you can expand on it. Mm-hmm. So if you need to add more drums or more cymbals, you can easily add on other bars and clamps to extend the horizontals out. So this particular rack is designed for a 5-piece kit, 4 drums, bass drum, and then 2 crashes, a ride, and a module. What is your setup like, and how could you adapt your setup to the E-Rack?
Well, I usually have a 6-piece drum kit with 4 cymbals, but I could see myself using a second snare drum or even a higher tom. So yeah, I like to get my hands on it to try a couple different configurations.
So what kind of hardware and software do you use?
Well, I just have my Cat K84, my Cat Percussion K84 drum set directly plugged into M-Audio Fast Track Pro interface, and then plugged into my MacBook Pro computer. So it's just easy. I launch Logic Pro on my computer with generally I use Addictive Drums 2 VST software, and then I just press record and that's it. It's so easy.
Hey, speaking of audio, do you want to do some playing for us?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Cool.
thank you, Brett, for that. Right, we're now going to go on to show and tell, so you guys can get out your show and tells. But first, we're going to go over to Aaron Spears and Mike. So over to you, Mike, for Aaron's show and tell.
So this section is show and tell. This is where I invite the guests to bring something.
Right.
A little bit about their personality, something that we do in the UK and schools in the UK. Do you do this in the US?
Yeah, actually, as a kid, man, I remember having show and tell quite a bit. You know, grade school. You know, they didn't carry that on for much longer, but.
So you think we're a little bit old for this?
I'm not gonna say. I mean, hey,
so
look, man, whatever works for you. You know, you asked me to bring something, and I have something.
And what have you got for me? Come on.
All right, this is crazy. Oh man, here we go.
Wow, we got a bag.
This life on the road is all about this bag right here. For me, it's about this bag. Now, in this bag, I have a lot of different things. I'm not going to show you everything because we don't have that kind of time, but I will show you a few things. This pocket right here is the emergency pocket. I have hand sanitizer, which is extremely important because you meet a lot of people, you shake a lot of hands. Extremely important to have this. I have, boom,
wow,
Baraka. I don't know if you guys have that here, Baraka.
We started it here.
I know, and that's why I have it, because it's amazing. It's great. Helps keep the immune system up. Sometimes meeting people, you get a headache, Tylenol. It's important to have that as well. And this is probably my favorite product that I have in the old utility pocket. This stuff is called Poopery. You never heard of this, huh?
Well, Poopery.
Poopery.
Okay.
Let me tell you about Poopery. So, in the venues and stuff, when you're sharing a dressing room with your mates, if the event happens where you have to go, and I'm talking about number 2, you don't want to blow the bathroom up. You have to be courteous of the other people that are in there. What you do is you drop a few sprays of this nice substance here in the old toilet. This cancels the smell of the poop.
I might need that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I'll take that one.
Oh, absolutely. Please.
Poopery.
Poopery. Now,
it is poopery.
It's funny because people, when I tell them about this, they're very skeptical. They didn't believe it. My wife was definitely one of the people that was like, that stuff doesn't work. Oh, it works. Oh, you better believe it. That right there gets the job done. I mean, I'm serious. It really does work. Poopery. And the last thing, because this bag,
I think you could do a whole show.
I could.
An Aaron Spears show and tell.
You better believe it. Because this bag is so important, I have this thing right here. This is a tracking device. It's called a tile. Basically, what it does is it's synced up to my phone. It lets me know, like if I go to my phone as an app, this device is working. It tells me exactly the location of my bag. And it emits a sound. Like if my bag gets lost or gets stolen, it will emit a sound until I find it and shut it off.
Wow. I
mean, you have to have that thing. This is like my utility. Like Batman has his utility belt, I have my bag.
Well, listen, I think you've been a great guest.
Thank
you
so
very much for showing your show and tell.
Wipes too.
Wipes as well. Okay.
They go hand in hand with the
Aaron Spears. Thank you.
Right, Mike, you're returning now.
There you go. That was very good, wasn't it? So what have you got?
How interesting.
There you are.
We've been hiding our show and tell.
So what have we got?
You go first.
Me first.
Come on, Carlos. You show me yours.
I am a drummer. You have to show me yours afterwards. Right? I am a drummer, and of course we have a thing for wood. But this is a big block of wood. I happen to have the builders in my house right now doing an extension, and I'm fascinated by woodworking. So I brought one of the offcuts that I'm going to turn into a shelf. What I'll do is I'll sand it, joint it, glue it up. My kids used to hate the fact that I did all of this kind of stuff, but it is what it is. And I'm going to make a dining table from scaffolding boards and some tubing that I used to use in some drum racks that I had.
Wow. Okay.
I promise you I'll show you a picture when it's
So why the obsession?
I just think it's another part of maybe my creative spirit, and I just like how wood reacts to certain things. You can sand it and do various things to it. There is a thing on the market called Fids wax polish with a particular colour called Rugger Brown.
Wow, okay.
And that's the finish that I'm going to put on this once I've sanded it, and it's going to look amazing.
Okay, and I promise you then, once Carlos has sent us into
completed.
photos, we'll see it, we'll put them up online so you can see them.
Absolutely.
So,
that is my obsession.
well, excellent. Emily, what have you got for us?
Mine's a random thing.
Ah,
This little lady here.
who is this little lady?
This little lady is a pig called Peppa Pig, who you always spell wrong. You always say it's P-E-P-P-E-R, but
I
it's
spell
not.
everything wrong.
Yeah, it's
so,
true.
That's what happens when you get a dyslexic drummer, I'm sorry.
We're all a bit dyslexic, I think. But yeah, so this is Peppa Pig, and two things about it. First of all, it's actually something that my dad co-created, and he is the producer of this
Peppa Pig,
kids
yeah,
show,
excellent.
which is so random, so surreal to me, and he started doing it around the same time that I started playing drums. So it's been an interesting progression of both of our sort of careers in that respect, and just seeing someone do really well and thinking, God, anything is possible.
Because this was later on in your, Phil Davis, your dad.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
later on in his life that
Yeah.
he became successful with this.
Oh yeah, because
it was just
he
perseverance.
he was always doing loads of short films and animation and all this sort of stuff, tiny little things that never really did anything. And then this one idea that he had with two of his friends, and they just stuck with it. And they had about 8 years of nothing. No one wanted to pick it up. No one was interested. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, it just sort of broke. And now, you know, kids are wearing the T-shirts, and there's a Peppa Pig world, and you know, these little dolls and all this.
And
sort
all
of
the
stuff.
American drummers who come over suddenly find out and go,
Yeah, exactly.
my
Peppa
daughter
Pig.
loves Peppa Pig.
You can't get that stuff over in the
Say hello to
States.
Peppa.
So.
Oh, hello,
Fantastic.
Peppa.
So, but the other little addition to that is in one of the episodes called Shake, Rattle and Bang, all the kids in it learn to play instruments and in the school band, but all the parents come in who have also been taught this as kids, and it turns out Daddy Pig is the drummer, and I was the one that was playing drums as Daddy Pig, and I played a bit of a homage to a Tower of Power beat, so it was
Wow.
kind of a little in-joke with any drummers that watched it would clock straight away like oh, okay. So, yeah, because Peppa Pig loves an in-joke. There's so many in it.
Good,
in the series,
excellent.
so
Well, more
very
importantly
random.
though, if your dad used you as Daddy Pig to play the drums,
Yeah.
did he pay you?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, there you go.
But,
That's,
I'll tell you something though, it wasn't handsomely, but I said to him, does this mean I get a royalty whenever it's played? And he went, no, because if you want that, I'll just get someone else to do it. Then.
oh, there you are, see?
There's
The
music industry
realities,
right there.
Yeah, brilliant.
Realities of
Excellent.
it.
Well, thank you very much for your show and tell. Thank you,
you.
Aaron, for your show and tell. Over to you.
Over to news. So I'm going to start off with a bit of sad news. So Benny King, the singer known for Stand By Me, sadly died at the age of 76. We also have Errol Brown, who was the frontman of soul band Hot Chocolate.
I worked with Errol.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. Have you worked with Errol Brown?
I've done a support tour back in the days, very early days, 80s.
Yeah, so he, so the song was really, his one was You Sexy Thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Which he wrote for you.
Yeah, that's
obviously.
right for you. He died at the age of 71. An interesting fact about Errol, though, is that Errol is his middle name.
Right.
His actual first name is Lester, so it's Lester Errol Brown, which I thought was quite interesting. But the big news that's happened recently is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had their new inductees for 2015. So here's the list of inductees for this year, which was Bill Withers, Green Day, Lou Reed, Joan Jett and the Black Hearts, Steve Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, the Five Rules and Ringo Starr. And the interesting thing with Ringo Starr is actually he was the first of the Beatles to go out and do his own solo thing, but he was the last solo artist of the Beatles to be inducted, which is quite surprising.
Yeah.
But that then makes me maybe wonder who you thought you would like to see
I've been
inducted.
thinking about this, and then as I've been thinking about it, all the people that influenced me, who I would think deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, I found already are. So I'm kind of a little bit stuck on that one.
So who are they? Who would you
Earth,
just...
Wind and Fire would have been in for me. Prince, Marvin Gaye, Jimmy Cliff, some of who I've had the privilege of working with.
You worked with Jimmy, didn't you?
I worked with Jimmy on a UK tour back in the days, and that was great. So yeah, they've been covered, which is great for me. I can say I'm really pleased about that.
What about you, Emily?
For me, I was thinking about this. Levon Helm I mean, it's a personal thing because he's a massive influence on me and my playing, but I know the band have been inducted themselves, but he was an artist in his own right, and he died a couple of years ago, and he was just such a massive influence on so many artists these days, and drummers, people like Steve Jordan. I mean, that is one of his biggest influences, and I just have so much respect for him, not just as a drummer, but as a singer and as a songwriter, you know, and I've got a lot of love for that guy, so for me, that's the one.
I know he got a lot of recognition, but I still don't think he got as much recognition as he should have done.
What I'm giving him now?
Yeah. No.
yeah.
Rightly,
I was going to ask you, Mike, who apart from yourself wanting to be inducted, who you would like to see inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think I sort of agree with Carlos. It's been going for how many years now?
Too long.
Yeah, so I think there's most of them have been put forward. But I'm always championing for drummers, so I definitely feel that someone like Charlie Watts should be put forward.
Absolutely.
I know the Stones have obviously done it, but you know, Charlie
Massive
Watts.
contribution
Charlie
to
Watts
music.
is the Rolling Stones. Mick, if you're watching, Charlie Watts is the Rolling
Put
Stones.
the mic down. Give it to Charlie.
Yeah, so I think I'd go for Charlie, and hopefully we can get Ringo on the show soon, and he can come
Yeah,
on.
he can tell us his experience. That was the closest the inductees night. Paul McCartney inducted him. He was on stage and saying it's the closest you'll ever get back to the full band of the Beatles. And Ringo even did an interesting interview with the Rolling Stones about it and said if they were both, the other two were still alive, he said we probably would have sat around one day and eventually talked about it and probably would have done it, but just meant due to the powers of other reasons, it will never happen.
Unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah. Well, I know that a friend of ours and great drummer Greg Bissonette does Ringo's gig, and Greg was a huge Beatles fan, and he says every night he sits on stage playing some of those songs with Ringo. He's like, I just can't believe, and he actually played in the band with Ringo and McCartney when they did a concert a couple of years ago. McCartney came on for Ringo's birthday party and played, and that was pretty amazing. Good. Well, okay, so we've got to come to this section called Use It or Lose It, where I show you a product or a couple of products.
This has nothing to do with our bodies, right?
No. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple of products, and you're going to tell me whether you would like to take them home and put them in your gig bag, or whether you would like to throw them in the bin.
Right.
So first of all, when you're playing the Olympic Stadium, and it's dark, these could be the things for you. So we've got this pair of drumsticks.
Okay. I'm all for gimmicks. I think they work, but fundamentally the stick has to feel right, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
The glowing part would be secondary. So if they felt right, I would include them, but if they didn't, they would definitely be...
And what about those?
They don't really feel right.
Okay, cool.
I think, because we were playing this,
They're
they're
not
just
really-
so wrong. They feel like they're about to break at any second. They're not, and they're not wood. Sticks are wood.
Hello.
So you don't think Peppa Pig, Daddy Pig wouldn't use those?
Maybe that might be the situation that these are appropriate.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine.
Exactly.
There's a situation for everything, but my situation is not this. So,
Okay,
but
well
done for someone doing it.
This is the next one. This is the Gibraltar hi-hat clutch, which I gotta say I really like because there's no screwing or it's
Fiddling,
just there you go. So would this be something that you'd like to use?
This would be in my gig bag, I think, most definitely. It is, we were talking before, definitely a first world problem.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really take that much time out of your life to unscrew one. But, you know, in this day of microwave sausages and time, you know, running away with us, it would be a very important thing. I would definitely have it, most definitely.
Yeah, I think if we were actually taking these home today, me and you would be fighting over this because this is useful when you've got 4 bars to sort your hi-hat out because it's all gone a bit awry.
Absolutely.
This is a
what are you two talking about? You've got drum techs that do that anyway, so you don't have to worry.
On the gig sometimes it happens that you've got to deal with it. Your drum tech is listening to how fat your grooves sound.
Lost in the moment.
Lost in the moment. He's not really paying attention.
Well, finally, what about Aaron Spears' poopery? I mean, well, you know, maybe we should all have some of that in our gig bag.
I think it's good for other people because I've never professed to having to need it for myself.
We don't have bowel movements, obviously.
No, and definitely ones that smell of roses when we do.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, what a great way to finish show 4. Thank you very much for being great guests. Carlos Hercules, Emily Dolan Davis, Aaron Spears, for me and Jill. See you next time, and thank you very much. Thank you.